do my brows at the beginning of my makeup, and then I kind of work from there, and then do my eyes, and then finish with my foundation and contour. I also, for my brows, use this. This is MAC NC15 Studio Finish Concealer. And I always use a really light one, the same colour as I do my base of my highlight under my eyes. So I'll show you how I do that. So the first thing I do is take the Fierce Face. This is the E65 small angle brush. It's just got that really nice angled edge to it. You'll have to excuse my nails today because I do need doing. So take the gel of the Sleek and just apply a small amount onto the brush, and I go in like so. The great thing about having the angle brush is you can really work the product into your brows as you would have the same angle as your brows would go. So I start on the outside, and then I work my way across and then finish here, because I don't like too much product on the inside corner of my eye. So I start with most of it here and work my way in so it looks natural. I twist the brush. I don't know if you can see. And just work the rest up from the inside corner. Then you go on to do your second brow, and once your brows are done, take a spoolie and just brush through them to make sure that all the hairs are facing the right way. After that, I then take the Fierce Face concealer brush. This is amazing because it's just got this small flat tip, and it's really handy just to get the concealer around the edge of the brows. Then proceed using your Fierce Face concealer brush to conceal around the edges of your eyebrows. Now I've done my brows, the next thing I go on to do is my eyes. And I always start off by lining the top and bottom waterlines with either this one, which is MAC Smolder, or I use this one that's I always do my brows at the beginning of my makeup, and then I kind of work from there, and then do my eyes, and then finish with my foundation and contour. I also, for my brows, use this. This is MAC NC15 Studio Finish Concealer. And I always use a really light one, the same colour as I do my base of my highlight under my eyes. So I'll show you how I do that. So the first thing I do is take the Fierce Face. This is the E65 small angle brush. It's just got that really nice angled edge to it. You'll have to excuse my nails today because I do need doing. So take the gel of the Sleek and just apply a small amount onto the brush, and I go in like so. The great thing about having the angle brush is you can really work the product into your brows as you would have the same angle as your brows would go. So I start on the outside and then I work my way across and then finish here because I don't like too much product on the inside corner of my eye, so I start with most of it here and work my way in so it looks natural. I twist the brush, I don't know if you can see, and just work the rest up from the inside corner. After I've done this, I then take the Fierce Face concealer brush. This is lovely because it's got this really small flat tip to it. After that, I then take the Fierce Face concealer brush. This is amazing because it's just got this small flat tip and it's really handy just to get the concealer around the edge of the brows. Now I've done my brows, the next thing I go on to do is my eyes. And I always start off by lining the top and bottom waterlines with either this one, which is MAC Smolder, or I use this one that's actually been chewed up by my friend's dog. This is MAC Coffee, and this is more of a brown colour, and sometimes the brown looks amazing. It just really adds that warmth and depth to your eyes, but today I'm going to use the black. So this is quite tricky if you're not used to doing it, but once you get the hang of it, then it's quite easy. So the first thing I do when I do any colour eyeshadow is to add some depth to the socket. Now you can use your foundation. I'm just going to skip the foundation today if you use a dark foundation, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you how to do it with eyeshadow. So this is a Pure Minerals set. This is the Soul Mattes, and I'm going to use BFF, which is this orange colour here. Which is this one. This is really similar to the MAC 217, but this one comes with the full kit to create this look that I'm doing today. So take a small amount on my taper blending brush, like that, and I work that into the socket. Now I'm going to go on to apply my eyeshadow. So today's look, I'm going for this warm, kind of plummy, reddy brown colour. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Vintage Vamp palette. I'm going to start by using these two colours here. You can use any kind of eyeshadows for this look, so I'm going to talk to you in dark, medium and light. So first of all, I'm going to take the darkest colour, in this case, which is this one. This is Smoke. This is number 3, the bottom darkest one. And again, I'm going to use another Fierce Face brush. This is the eye shading brush from Fierce Face. It's really, really soft. It's sable hair, and it'll just get that shadow on really, really well. I'm going to start by applying the product into my socket. So really deepening where we've just put that Pure Minerals orangey colour. So I'm using the eye shader just to work that product into the socket. It's a really nice brush because it's fairly flat, but it's still quite fluffy, so you can get some precision in there and also blend it really well. Now if you get any drop down onto your cheeks while you're doing this, don't worry, because this is probably the main reason I like to do my eyes first. So then when you do your foundation and your highlight and your contour afterwards, it's really clean and you don't get any of that kind of shadow and drop down. So I'm starting sort of on the outside corner. You're wanting to just do this area here and then across the socket there. And just really pat that on and blend as you go. You can then go back to your taper blending brush and really blend that in. It doesn't matter if it's still got a bit of the orange product on, because that's what's really going to give you that depth in your eye. Now I usually do kind of keep coming back and forth with the different shadows, but I'm going to go on to using your medium shadow, which is the top one there. Again, using your Fierce Face eye shading brush, I'm going to just pat that product onto the centre of my eye here. And then blend again with your tapered blending brush. As you can see, I'm starting to look human now. The next thing I'm going to do is to take a gel liner. This is Clinique, but you can get these from like Maybelline, kind of any of the like beauty brands in Superdrug or Boots or those kind of shops. I prefer the Clinique one because I do go over the inside my waterline with it, and I find it's the best eyeliner that I've ever used to stay on. You know, for a night out, like there's nothing worse than keep trying to put more on and more on and more on in the bathrooms. And if you're anything like me, if you take your nice makeup out with you, then you end up losing it. So this is great because you kind of just put it on once and it's generally alright for the whole night. I'm going to apply this with the Fierce Face small eyeliner brush. I'm going to use this brush, the small eyeliner brush. This is fantastic. It's such a nice kind of tapered tip, and it is so nice for putting on eyeliner. So I'm going to put this along the top, along my eyelid, as close as you can get to the lashes. So you just put a small amount, dip your brush in it. You can wipe the excess off on your hand, but I don't really do that because it is a brand new brush as well, so it's pretty good. And just pull your eye out, and I start in the middle. I go out to the edge, and then with the excess I then do the inside corner. And as well, don't do it in kind of one big line, just kind of dot it and join it together. Come a bit closer so you can see. Just little dots. And you can use the end of the brush or a Q-tip just to neaten that off. So once that's on, you just go along and check that you've not got any gaps. It's not too important how straight this is on this look because this is a really smoky look, so we are going to blend it up quite a lot. Once you finish that, you then take a black. I'm going to use Carbon by MAC, but in the Sleek palette you also get this black up here. And they're both as good as each other, but I'm going to use Carbon today. I've not used that one for a while. And this is the short shader and the Fierce Face brush set. It's a little flat brush like that, part of the 12-piece set. I'm going to dab a bit of product onto that. And then I'm going to take that really close tight along the line we've just done with the gel liner. And the idea of that is you are like really blending it in and smudging it to give that really smoky look. You can also wet the end of the brush and it helps it go on a lot more stronger. But I'm miles away from the tap and I don't want to stop filming. There we go, so you get more of a kind of smudgy look there. So once you've done that, you should have a nice smudged line across the top and then your shadow on. I'm going to go back in now and take my darker colour. And I'm going to use the pencil brush from Fierce Face. I'm going to take that in, my darker colour, and I'm going to then work kind of over the black line a bit and in the corner. This really blends that black in with the rest of the eye. A lot of people ask me how I get my eyeliner to stay on underneath my eyes. I actually don't really very often put eyeliner underneath, I just use eyeshadows. And if you use them properly, apply them properly, use some really nice products with a good brush, then I find that they always stay on for me, and if you set your makeup afterwards as well, that really helps. I'm going to use the lighter of the two. Work out from the inner corners. Now at this point, when I feel like I've kind of done the base of what I need to do on my eyes, I'm now going to go and put my foundation on and contour and highlight my face, and then I go back to my eyes and add the real highlight bits, the liner, the lashes, etc. So I'm going to start by applying some foundation. This is the Magic Foundation by Charlotte Tilbury, and this is an 8 medium. This is probably a little bit too dark for my skin, but the way I highlight and contour afterwards, I can get away with wearing something a little bit too dark because it just kind of all gets lifted in a way when I apply all the concealer and kind of work my magic. So I'm going to apply that using this Fierce Face Duo Fibre brush. This brush is absolutely beautiful, it's so soft, and it really, I find it better than using a flat foundation brush, just it really fuses the product in. I don't use a primer when I'm putting my foundation on, just because I find that personally without it, I find it really goes in the skin better. I've got this moisturiser on. This is the Crystal Clear Skin Repair Moisturiser, and I find that really nice because it's really lightweight and it doesn't make my skin oily. So I just put a small amount on my palette here. You can just put it direct on your skin and kind of start on my nose and cheeks. They're the areas that need the most coverage. Really circular, buff that in. Make sure you bring it right down your neck. As you can see, it is really dark this, but it'll look okay once it's done. And if you've got short hair, pay attention to your ears. I learned that when I had my hair short. Sometimes my ears would look pink in photographs. Pop it right in. This brush is amazing. It literally is like magic. It just blends it right in there. Don't worry about getting it too close. You can see I'm kind of missing this area here, and here's not too sort of important because we're going to work on that afterwards. That looks really orange on camera, but it actually doesn't on my skin. After I've applied my foundation, the next thing I do is, I don't know how kind of technically correct it is to do this, but I use a different Studio Finish concealer. This is NW25, and I use the flat foundation brush, and I have quite a lot of open pores on my face, so I take it all around here, and it blends in really well with that shade of foundation, and it just kind of fills those pores and hides those imperfections. This isn't essential, and I should kind of want really heavy makeup on a night out, and it gives you that kind of airbrush look on your photos, which we all like. So just apply that on those areas. Not too bad today actually, maybe it's the lighting. The next thing I do is take the lighter one. This is NC15, the Studio Finish Concealer. When I highlight and contour, I tend to use two products. I use this first, and then I'll go on to tell you which other sort of product I use afterwards. But this is a tip I got from Kim, well, didn't personally get it, I wish, from Kim Kardashian's makeup artist Mario. I'd read that in his masterclass that he uses this and then another one over the top, so you'll go on to see what other products I use, but first of all I'm going to take this under my eyes here just to lift that area. It just looks so amazing when it's done. Obviously you don't necessarily have to use the same shade as me. The best thing to do is to go into MAC and get them to try it, but I do find a lot of the time they try and talk you out of getting a really light shade. They did that with me. I was like, no, just get as close to Tipex as I can. because I know what I'm doing with it, so it's not going to look white when it's finished. This brush is so soft as well, like it's amazing for under here. So what you kind of do when you're working in this area here, so above your cheekbone and you're going out at the sides. And what you can also do with this is use the concealer brush that we used earlier and just kind of take it, not too much, just take it on the inner corners of your eyes there, and it really lifts them and makes them look better. Now the next area I use this for, and you can apply with your fingers as well, sometimes it's easier, it's just on the arch of the nose and just at the centre of your forehead. Remember, anything you want to make stand out to the camera, then you're going to be using your highlight, and anything you want to give depth, like I obviously do around the edge of my massive forehead, I do under my cheekbones, I do under my chin, and I also contour my nose. So I've got quite a short, wide nose, and I can make it look a lot slimmer and longer with clever contour. So you just blend that in there. This is kind of like, I use it as like a base to the highlight, so quite technical. And as well, don't be afraid to use your fingers as long as they're clean, because your fingers are actually really good tools. And then do the outer corners of my mouth here, because if you get older, like I've noticed I'm getting older, you get these shadows, so it just lifts them. And now you'll understand why I said about the foundation, it's not too important in my case if it's a little bit dark for me, because everything comes together. Now, here's for the exciting bit. So a lot of people will ask me what products I use to contour. Now this is really cheap compared to a lot of the things I use. This is a number 7. This was from Boots, and this is Walnuts in the Match Made Concealer. I think it's like $7.99, but I'm going to have a look and I'll list everything that I use underneath. So this is really a concealer for darker skin tones, but me being me, I use it to contour with, and it's fantastic. Also, because that is quite dark, I use, this is amazing, this is a Smashbox contour stick. I use it on the edges of my nose because that is really dark and it's so easy to get carried away with your contour and then just totally ruin your makeup, because you just have like, you look like a tiger. I'm going to apply my highlighter first. Now this is NARS and this is in Vanilla. This is a Radiant Creamy Concealer, and I found it is the best thing ever for highlighting. So I'm going to show you how I put these on. So I'll start with this here, and I'll take it right up along there on both sides. See, now you're learning how much makeup I really put on. Like that. And then do my head area. Don't sort of need too much on my head, because let's be honest, it really does not need emphasising anymore. I'm going to do the centre of my nose afterwards on this, just because it is a little bit more tricky. I'm going to do my jawline here. Not too much, I don't want to look like a total square head. This is another amazing concealer. It is actually called Amazing Concealer. I've only just tried this one like last week, and it's fantastic as well. I'd actually almost probably put it on a par with the NARS, and I'll put details below on that one, but that's fantastic as well. So once you've done that, you then go on to put your contour on. Now, like I said before, I do like to put a lot around my head. This is the Walnut, one by number 7. Now my head's quite wide, so if you've got a really small head, you can skip this bit. I can only dream. So start right, so you're working right along just underneath your cheekbone there. You don't need too much of that. Just there. Now I do put some there on my chin because I have quite a big chin on pictures. People probably haven't noticed, that's because I contour. So now I'm using a damp beauty blender. This is from Beauty Blender UK, and this is like amazing. I'm just going to put a bit more water on that. It's so important to do this damp because it really helps it blend in. Now I'm going to start with the highlighted areas, and then I'm going to do the contour because I don't want to kind of contaminate my highlight with this brown colour. So I start under my eyes and just dab, 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 and blend that out. These are like amazing. You can use your foundation brush as well. I tend to just use the Beauty Blender just because I find it easier. Especially this one by Beauty Blender UK, it's like the best. Now when you've blended that area in, don't worry, it's not going to look this white when you've finished. You then go and do your contoured areas. So the idea is you really blend that up into your hairline. If you've got blonde hair, when I was really blonde, I just put my hand as close to and just kind of press that in because you don't want to end up with brown all over your hair. And the good thing about this is you can just then kind of pull it inwards just so it really has that kind of ombre look, so it's blended in well. You can see a little thing there, it's actually a spot. It's just showing again now I've been blending. It's like the biggest spot I've ever had in my life. Now I'm going to go on and do my nose using the Smashbox contour stick. I probably should have sharpened it a bit. Don't really put a lot on this. Just take it down. The narrower you do it, the narrower your nose is going to look. So I don't do it too narrow, but I just do it to kind of bring it in a little bit at the bottom. And then this is a tiny little one from Beauty Blender. This is amazing. Now sometimes I do that, I just buff it a little bit with my foundation brush. We haven't finished with that yet anyway, so it does look like really harsh at the minute. Actually looks harsher on camera than it does in person. I'm going to take, I'll use a bit of the NYX actually so you can see it. I'm going to take a bit of this NYX concealer, really narrow down the centre of my nose. My Beauty Blender, just take that up there. So you can see it's really similar in colour to the other one. The NARS one. Right, so when we've set that, that will blend in a lot more. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to set my contour, my cream contour with a powder contour. I know, there's a lot to this. And then I'm going to kind of bake my makeup, which is using, I actually use a mixture of the two, which is a pain for people if they want to buy them. I probably, well, this is obviously if you're like an NW in MAC, then you would use, this is Cameo by Ben Nye. If you're an NC, you'd probably use Banana, but I find that a mixture of the two is perfect for me because one looks too yellow and the other one looks too pink. So I just mix them both. I bought mine on Amazon, but just make sure it's like a genuine supplier because I've heard there's quite a lot of fakes. So I'm using my Fierce Face Angled Contour Brush, and I'm using Sleek Contour Kit because it's got this lovely coloured kind of brown contour in it. So I'm just going to put a bit on my brush and take that over. This brush is just amazing as well because it really gets the product on. You don't really get any loss. It kind of really gets it in there. Like that. Take some around my forehead. And then another important bit is to really get under here, because if you want that, if you've got a bit of a double chin, like I've got a bit of a web neck, so I use a lot of a lot of contour under my chin and around my neck. So this is a Fierce Face powder blush brush, and I'm just going to use that. This is such a nice soft brush under here. And then you can just sort of take that all over. Next thing I'm going to do is set my highlight, and this is a technique that's also called cooking or baking, whichever you prefer. I'm going to use a mixture of these two powders from Ben Nye. This is Cameo and Banana. And I mix those together just because, as you can see, one's really warm and one's quite cool, and neither one really goes with my skin tone, so I have to buy them both and mix them. So I'm going to take a sponge. You can take a dry beauty blender or just one of these cheap like triangle sponges from Boots. So you pat a bit onto the sponge, and then you just setting it on top of those areas that you've highlighted. Just dabbing it on like that, and right up at the edges. Now what this does, you leave this on while you then complete your eyes, because basically what this does, it kind of, you leave it and it really sets into that, and that's what makes your makeup look perfect and stay perfect all night. Stops you from sort of your eyeshadow from moving because you're setting the concealer underneath, and you're not going to get that shiny look. And this is a technique that a lot of celebrities use, especially people like the Kardashians. They really set that on for a matte look. I prefer to use matte products and then give myself that glow with a highlighter afterwards, as opposed to using like foundations that have got like a kind of dewy look to them, because I get quite oily skin, so it's easier for me to just matte it all down and then lift those areas with a highlight. So I'm just going to go on my forehead. Now when you've done that, you just have to hope that nobody comes and knocks on the door. The next thing I'm going to do is just leave that. Now I'm going to go back to my eyes. I'm going to line my eyes with a liquid liner. This one's from Kiko Cosmetics. This is only sort of a cheap one. If you're looking for a good eyeliner, the best thing to do is look for one that's quite matte rather than one that dries with like a shine to it. I always generally work with matte products when it comes to sort of eyeliners and things like that. I think it just looks a lot better. So I'm going to line my eyes, and this has got a really nice brush to it as well. I'm not really a person that sort of does winged liner. There's no real reason. I've just never really been, not been into it, but I've never really kind of done it on myself. Sometimes I do, but I'm not going to complicate it and do a wing today. Sometimes, if you see, I just kind of take it up a tiny little bit at the edge, but nothing major. Next thing I'm going to do is my lashes. Now these are massive lashes. I've never used them before, but yes, I probably, if you're watching YouTube, you've probably heard of this brand. This is Huda Beauty, and these are I think these are number 8, Scarlet, yeah, number 8, these lashes here. I see them in a tutorial and I just thought I have to try them. So if these look massive, then apologies, but we're going for a bit of a super glam, super contoured look, so I don't think it'll be too bad. So I'm going to cut these to the shape, to the width of my eye. I'm going to apply the glue, and I'll be back in a second. So first of all, just curl and put mascara on your lashes. I have used this one. This is a Makeup Forever Smoky Extravagant mascara, and then you're going to place your eyelashes on top. So there's my lashes on. Now the next thing I'm going to do, they're actually really hard to get on, these lashes, because they're so kind of, you really have to give them a good bend because they're so sort of big. Sometimes like the bigger ones, they're like kind of ping off and they're quite stiff, so just kind of be careful with those while you're doing the rest of your face. So now that should have set in time, so about 10 minutes. Now I'm going to sweep this off. This is the Fierce Face powder blush brush. Now usually at this point I then add a bit more depth to the underneath of my eyes, back with that Remember that original orangey colour we used? This looks really nice, and I wait till I've set all my makeup first just because I find it goes on a lot easier afterwards. So just with your pencil brush, just blend that in underneath. Like that, and add some mascara. After this, I'm going to take the liquid eyeliner and just line the join of those lashes. Today I'm using Sleek Blush in Rose Gold. This is really similar to MAC's, I want to call it Peachy Keen. It might not be, but it's very similar to one of the MAC shades. It's like a goldy kind of pink. I've actually forgotten, I've just realised I've not put my highlight on my eyes, so I'm just going to go back in there and do that. Just taking an eye shading brush, I'm going to use the lighter two colours, a mixture of them together, and I'm just going to highlight the top of my eye there. So beautiful, this colour. Charlotte Tilbury does the nicest eyeshadow colours ever. And then I'm going to take my pencil brush and just take a little bit of, again, a bit of the two mixed together. I'll do that right on the inner corner there, if you can quite see that, but... And you can take it just along into the centre. Next thing I'm going to do is to take your Sleek contour kit again. I'm going to take the highlight inside of it. It's a really nice shimmery kind of highlighter. I'm going to use my taper blending brush. I'm just going to put some right down the centre of my nose and on my forehead a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit above the brows. Now for the highlight on my cheeks, I want quite a goldy colour today, so I'm going to use Sunbeam by Benefit. This is a really nice creamy kind of liquid highlighter. A little bit of that on my palette, and I'm going to use this Fierce Face brush. This is from the 29-piece set. It's a duo fibre, but it's really good just to mix highlight, sort of blend highlight onto your cheeks. So I'm going to put that on there. You can use your fingers as well. I'm going to take it above my cheekbone, on the apple, and just up around there. Now for my lips, I'm going to go with a matte colour because I've got quite a bold eye, kind of really stands out. I don't know if you can see it too much on camera, but in person it really stands out. And the lashes are really big, and I really don't like that look that some girls do where it's like dark lips, dark eyes, everything. So I'm going to use MAC Velvet Teddy. So I'm going to use MAC Velvet Teddy on my lips, and I found this amazing lip liner from Kiko, and this is number 302, and it is a lot more cheaper, and it goes on beautifully. It's a really good dupe for MAC Spice or MAC Whirl. It's kind of like a mixture between the two, so I'm going to use that today, and I absolutely love this colour because it just goes really well with Velvet Teddy, and it's so soft and it goes on really well. So I'm going to slightly overline my lips. I've got quite a pronounced Cupid's bow, and at the minute I'm not into having a really big Cupid's bow, so what I do is just kind of bring the middle up, and it gives it more of a full plump look. He always adds a little bit extra just under the bottom lip, and it just gives that kind of shadow, and then you can just kind of proceed to fill your lips in.